Now, one thing I remember around the early 70s, late 60s, there was a crisis, specifically in which we saw the effects of in America, but specifically in New York City, Bronx, Queens, and definitely in LA and things like that. But of the old black man, if you will, being accused of uh, uh, being responsible for their own demise. Uh, a gentleman that comes to mind of world renowned economist Thomas Sowell, who broke down the reason why black people, black men specifically, are in the financial situation that they're in, which was brought up. Basically, they brought upon themselves. Is that something that you endorse? That's something that you believe in as
No,
well?
I pretty much reject pretty much the majority of what Thomas Sowell has to offer.
Okay.
I think it's like it's a very oversimplification of what happened. He seems to think that because prior to 1960s, when we had really no choice of being able to divorce or anything like that, that the conditions that we had then, where we were forced to work in certain places, and when there were jobs like shoe shiners and elevator operators and things like that, he's neglecting a lot of like the societal changes that had a big impact on our society, on our personal society, like the black culture, right? Like the fact that there's a video that's in the chat that goes a little bit deeper into this, but basically that our society was making a transfer from being a manufacturing producing society to being like a service one.
What do you mean by? Can you give more detail on that? So
Yeah, like
what specifically happened? Let's talk about Detroit, for example. What happened in Detroit?
well, the there was a shift, right, where the people that were in control of the manufacturing sector,
Right.
they really didn't have an allegiance to this society, the country, the nation, right? So they were looking to uh, make their dollars however they could make their dollars, and a lot of times they could make more money if they were going overseas and having a headquarters somewhere where the population was not educated, or where the caloric intake was very low, meaning that they were on the verge of starvation, right?
Mm-hmm.
They could they could pay these people peanuts to do what somebody that had, but with a skill base in the United States, would cost a lot more.
Okay.
So what they did is they went from
So basically, for example, in Detroit with the car manufacturing, it was cheaper to build cars in Asia. It was cheaper to build cars in South America. It was cheaper to do so than to keep those jobs in Detroit or in the United States. Therefore, those companies, to increase their profit margins, to cater to their shareholders, at the end of the
yes.
day, felt it was the right business move to take those jobs out of the American market and focus on service jobs in America, opposed to factory jobs in America.
Yeah, it's because if you look at their management, the people that were in management in the olden times would have been like engineers and people that were competent in actually machine tool design, right? So you went from having people that were like competent in the industry, like creative people that knew what they were dealing with, to like bankers taking those positions. So the innovation went down the tube, and their priorities changed because they were no longer trying to make the best product; they were trying to make the cheapest one.
Oh, okay. So
Because they could give the same amount of money to their shareholders if they were making junk cars than if they were making good ones, because people had no choice but to buy whichever cars were available.
I've been down this road before.